Hey, Homeschool Mom, welcome to the Homeschool Mom Coffee Chat every Tuesday on Instagram, live at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I am so excited to have a conversation today with Vanessa. We're going to be talking about, let's see, we're going to maybe discuss creativity, how we can foster creativity, sustainable self-care practices, especially for the midlife homeschool mamas or the middle-aged homeschool mamas. Is that me? It doesn't feel like it's me. Apparently, the big 5-0 was declarative that I am indeed in the midlife range. Well, I want to introduce myself first to you. My name is Teresa Wiedrick. I'm a certified life coach and homeschool mom, graduated homeschool mom. I have 4 kids. 3 are grown and flown, and our 4th is 15 now. So it's going to be a whole different parenting journey for me for the next 3 years. But I'm here to support you, to help you shed what's not working so you can show up on purpose in your homeschool and your mom life. And I am so looking forward to introducing you to Vanessa Wright, who is also a certified life coach, a writer, a speaker, and she is someone that is supporting homeschool moms and women outside of the homeschool space. So I'm going to invite her to join me. Hey, love.
Hello. It is working. Yay.
So you got your dishwasher loaded. I got my dog happy.
I have the door locked. I texted all the teens. I was like, do not interrupt me. I'm
Yeah,
speaking to somebody. Yes, yes.
yeah. My husband just walked in the door. He just finished an emerge shift overnight, about two towns away or something. So
Gosh.
yeah, so my husband's an emergency physician, and your son just entered into what's his specific role? EMT, paramedic.
So he's doing EMT with, and then he will do paramedic school sometime, I guess, in the next year or so, because he just graduated from high school in
Very
June.
exciting.
So
So exciting. So is he still at home with you, or he's
he's
gone?
he was gone for a couple months trying doing some things in another state, and he's back home temporarily, and then he's in the midst of interviewing in a couple of different places. And I'm sorry, I'm going to try to tilt my phone because the I
Yeah.
do love the evening light, but it's literally shining straight through my face.
Yeah,
So we'll
it's
just go
pretty. It's
with it.
dappled, kind of like an impressionist painting.
Yes, we'll go
Yeah,
with it.
yeah. So it wasn't that weird. This is your first that's grown up and launched. Like, I think weird is actually wildly understated experience.
Yeah, surreal. I think it was
Yeah.
more surreal. But I also think it depends on the temperament of your child and like if
Mhm.
you know that they're ready to go or not.
Yep.
And I've always told people like he asked me when he was 11 if he could move out, like he was ready
Yeah.
to go. So
Yes.
there's really no holding them back when they're like that. And I don't think
Yeah.
that's, that I don't think it's helpful to try to do that either. So
It's
yeah.
kind of self-created trouble when you're doing that.
Yes.
And I identify because our oldest was the same way.
Yes.
He might have been 8, but so I remember that too. So it felt like it was still very painful. It was a feeling of honoring the fact that, okay, something's shifting here, something's changing. And and it felt new, and it was like laboring a child into the world. And but then now I've had my second daughter and then my third daughter
Yeah.
launch, and I'm like, oh my goodness, now I see where this is going.
Yeah, exactly. There's like, this isn't a surprise. I'm gonna twist this close. I try to not be like,
Or-
let's see if that's any, oh, that's a lot better. Okay, now I'm like squinting. But yeah, and I think as you said, like, because you've now done it 3 times, and I imagine it's easier in some ways, but it's like, as you said, like each child's different. So
Yes,
it's
exactly.
you've got they
Depends
have a
on
different
the
energy.
child.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
totally depends on the child. Because my second kiddo was somebody that wasn't independent, and she is very much so now. She's actually in my stories. She's performing in the Nutcracker this Christmas.
Oh my
And
gosh.
she's a ballet dancer, and so she's not going to be home for Christmas, first of all, which highly recommended. Don't encourage your kids to do play. because that's almost a guarantee. They're like 12 performance right now, and they're trying to like pretend that they're really still loving it.
Oh my God. I can't even imagine like the
Me
repetition,
neither.
like, wow, it's just like so much repetition of it. Yeah. But it's,
Yeah,
yeah. And having to show
mostly
up in
physical
that.
prowess. Yeah.
Yes.
But she wasn't super independent. And so launching her, she's fully homeschooled all the way through high school. It was hard. It was really hard. But then when Rachel, our third, launched, I was like, wait, this is a sign that they're all leaving.
That means you're doing something well. You're doing your job. Like and every, not to say like, kids can, and everybody's on their own timeline. I think that's like the
Yeah.
biggest thing that I've learned since when I started homeschooling like 13 years ago is like every kid is on their own timeline, and all these like arbitrary rules that our society puts in place for literally everything don't really matter. So like,
Amen, sister.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
In the
So
same thing. Yeah.
yeah, especially if you're homeschooling through that high school period, I think it can just feel
Yeah.
like, what is actually happening? What are we doing? There are going to be so many tears. There's going to be like, am I doing the right thing? And that let me just say the fact of the matter is like, it could be the best thing. It could be like, it could be also like awful. And like, there's just so many things in between. And it's like setting yourself up for failure and horrible expectations if you think it's like the panacea for everything, or if you think like nothing's going to go wrong with your child and everything's going to be perfect. Like there's just like the reality is that I found, even because most of my friends don't homeschool, so it's like, but we were all going through, like a lot of us graduated our kids this year, and there was so much crossover and so much similarity. It's so different. My son and I are exactly 30 years apart. Like when I graduated high school 30 years ago, it's very, very different than like a high school graduate today,
Hmm.
homeschooled or not. I felt like, I mean,
Yeah.
and it's just interesting, just so interesting to like have that perspective as like,
Well, no,
yeah.
I know we're similar ages, so I was just
Hmm.
myself, you must be so much older than me because I'm not 30 years old graduation.
I will be 49 in like 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 4 weeks. Yeah. Yeah.
I just turned 50 a couple of weeks ago, so
Yeah.
maybe I'm wrong about that.
I know.
1991, I'm pretty sure I'm wrong about that. I'm
Yeah.
always
Yeah.
wrong about numbers.
That's fine. We'll just go with it. It's okay.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. When did 30 years post high school happen? But I'm with you. I know a lot of people that have had their kids in school, a lot of kids that have their kids homeschooling, and there are some like common as in not exactly repeatable, but very similar kind of journeys that kids go on. Like I'm curious what you think or what your experiences have been, because no matter how many kids you have, there's like this individuating stage that happens where they come into themselves more and they kind of go, no thanks, mom, I don't want to think the way they're thinking or do the you're doing or whatever it is. And you're like, wait, pardon? You
Yeah.
don't think the same way as me? What's going on? Whoa.
Yeah. That was my child basically from the time he could talk. So I just got
Yes, yes, my oldest too. Yes,
are we
absolutely.
sensing it seems like that oldest child vibe? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's, there's, and I really think it just depends on how you approach homeschooling. So if I look at like this past spring, so as I said, I had a lot of friends who were not homeschooling who graduated kids, but then I did have a small group of friends who we all graduated our kids, and all of us had extraordinarily different homeschool experiences. And all the kids are doing something very, very different. Like one is in a 4-year college, one is in our local community college. My son is skipped and stuff and went right into the workforce and will go back to do paramedics. Like nobody had all the same experience. Like I had a friend who did classical education. We were more like project oriented slash unschooly slash interest led. One was kind of more traditional. So the thing is that it will all work itself out eventually. And
Mhm.
we can't just say like at 18 everything stops, or that at 25 it also, I mean, I'm almost
No,
49 and I'm still changing and
exactly.
growing. So I
Yeah.
think, and I do feel encouraged that I feel like that mentality is starting to shift a lot more in our society when we talk about education. That feels encouraging.
Yeah. In theory, at least my experience in the school system, but also in homeschooling, that our tendency, whether we're obviously I'm speaking with homeschool families in my realm, But everyone has this unique experience where they feel like they have to follow the crowd and they have to be doing whatever everybody else around them is doing. And so even if you're in the homeschooled realm, you still have this compelling of, well, everybody around you is like Charlotte Mason homeschooling, so
Right.
that and or unschooling. And I know for me, I shared this a lot, but I was more traditional or classical in the first few years until I burned out, and then moved right to radical unschooling for 6 months, and then realized that only worked for one kid. And then so then I switched back and did whatever eclectic thing you do, because that's what you do eventually. You just call yourself eclectic.
Exactly.
But you
100%.
you do all of that stuff because you're orienting yourself to a specific child eventually. Okay, it
Yeah.
takes you a while to realize that's really the goal, but then you go to this like original child that is standing right in front of you and you say, is what I'm doing serving you? So at the end, you're really not going for the method, you're not really trying to make true to the method, but the compelling, like you're not trying to just follow a method, and yet the compelling around you, whatever social construct you're in, is always inviting you to do whatever they're doing.
Yeah, yeah, totally. And also, if you have, I have to be quiet because I think he's sitting on the other side of the wall. But like, we gave our oldest a lot of freedom in like
Mm-hmm.
what he thought he wanted to do. And I'm like, look, I have some checklist things you have to check off. Now, and again, this like, and for us to say like it really depends on the state or province, like where you're
Yeah.
homeschooling. Like I'm in North Carolina and it's very hands off. Luckily, like we have very awesome homeschool laws.
Yeah.
But for me, I'm like, you still have to hit these things. But we were also able to build out stuff for him so that he could get ahead of the game, knowing he wanted to go into this field.
Yeah.
Um, and that said, is like, but I've also like, and if you do decide to go pursue a 4 year degree or whatever, like, I have every confidence that you'll be able to figure out how to study for those and do those because he did a lot of different types of more hands-on type of work, not
Yeah.
traditional classroom type of work.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard because look, I mean you can ask me and call me. I had a freak out the other day. I'm going to have freakouts until my children are fully capable of taking care of themselves, you know? So I think that's also normal. And just to say like there's going to be ups. I call them the ups, the downs, the all arounds. And like it doesn't go away just because you've given your kid a diploma and said you've graduated.
So true. Yeah, that is so
Yeah.
true. But what I've seen over, like, if I think about how I've evolved or grown over the course of my homeschool years, because that's like the majority of my parenting years too,
Yeah.
but is that I have allowed so much more freedom for everybody. Not even just the most independent kiddo, but everybody. And then I've really watched who they really are and trying to align things so that it really serves them, also serves my internal values. But as I've done that, I've also naturally done that for myself. And so
Mm-hmm.
I had this journey for myself of coming into myself in a really, really significant way where I realized when I go out into regular public, because I'm talking like this all the time here online, I go into public into a different, non homeschooled or non whatever outside of the box zone. They're like, what is she talking about? It's like so
Right.
weird. Deschooling and, all the things. But I've learned I've really come into myself over the course of my homeschool years.
I love that. And I think that's important because I've talked about this for years. Like having having been the mother who went all in when I first started homeschooling, it was like I was obsessively obsessed with homeschooling and learning
Yeah.
everything. I mean, it was like my whole life.
Yeah.
And that got, about 5 years in, 6 years in, I was like, oh, this is like, I can't do this. And I knew we were probably going the long way. Like we were going all the way through high school. Like that was the plan for us,
Yeah.
probably. So, I mean, we did give our kids the choice to like if they wanted to go or whatever, and they haven't. So, but there's just a lot that like if you're putting all this is I will beat this drum over and over again. I've probably said it here. I've written about it. I've talked about like if you are putting all your time and effort into providing your kids with an amazing homeschool experience and you're not giving that anything back
Amen.
to yourself,
Yep.
I'm telling you, you are going to get to where your kids have graduated and grown and flown, and you're going to be sitting there going, now what? And I have worked with people, and it's like, now what?
Yep. 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 Do you know what, Vanessa? I'm literally working on a seminar for a Canadian conference for homeschool moms about beyond our homeschool mom identity.
Yeah, yeah. And it's hard because like we're told like to look, it is I have changed so much since I first started homeschooling. First of all, I'm older. I don't have as much energy
Yeah.
for my kids, but like
Yeah.
the perspective, right? Like you can be an amazing homeschool person and fully like put yourself into doing that. Awesome. You can also be like, I've worked from home for 6 years and now I'm working almost full time, but my kids are older. And so like, I'm just kind of guiding them, making sure that they've like gotten on class or whatever. Like, just be open to change, be open to the growth, like the growth you want to see in your children. Like you have to have that also, because if
Yeah.
you don't, like you're just going to feel stagnant, and then you're going to get resentful, and then you're going to get bitter or whatever, and that will come out into all areas of your life. And
Yeah.
again, also holding space for the fact that homeschooling is not easy. It's not easy. It's not what everybody shows on Instagram. It is, it's messy and it's up and down and
Yeah.
challenging, and it's a little bit more welcomed now. I feel like where if you and I had this conversation 5 years ago, it'd be completely different. It's definitely
Yeah.
more people more open to other ways of schooling now than they were 3, 5, 10 years ago, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would add to the resentful. You said resentful and hmm,
Bitter and
bitter,
just,
right?
yeah,
And bored.
and
That's the
bored. Yeah.
and bored because some moms that have been doing it for a long time are like, well, I'm kind of bored. And I'm like, totally get that. And it's okay if you're bored. So then let's I mean, first of all, it's normal to feel the feeling. So sometimes that means you change it up. Sometimes you're honoring the fact that it's slump month. And this is what happens post holidays. I don't know what you call that season, January to March, but slump
Yeah.
month,
Sounds
whatever
good.
that is,
It
it's
was
not
like the
fun.
February blues usually.
Yeah.
It's just like,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
That because it gets
yeah,
kind of boring. So then, I think there's something to be said about, I mean, there's so many possibilities, depends on the person you're speaking to. But is it that you want to totally change up what you're doing in your homeschool? Is it that you want to start to include something creative, like building a business or doing something that is entirely about you, has zero to do with your kids?
yes. Yeah. And I feel like that is so important. I've done that. I've done a complete, shift of in terms of what I mean, if you would have told me 5 years ago I would be doing what I'm doing now, I would have just looked at you like,
True.
what are you talking about? Like,
Yeah,
what? No.
too.
But the cool thing is that homeschooling brought me to this space
Yes.
because I was so open to connecting with other people and learning, and for my kids, like even at the hard times, like when I was like completely burned out, but we kept homeschooling because for us, like during some really hard times, homeschooling, it was actually easier to be homeschooling because I didn't have to get up and get my kids out the door and get them here and get them there. Like we could just stay home and be in our pajamas and eat snacks all day and play Lego while this person was recovering or whatever. And so there
Yeah.
was that underlying safety, security in it, even if it didn't look like we were getting anything done for
Yeah.
like an entire year. So there's definite like benefits that I saw of doing that too.
Yeah, yeah, that's for sure. I'm curious if I see you doing a focus on self-care, of course, and fostering creativity. What are like the tenets or the pillars to how you approach helping moms foster creativity? Because I see that as like the antidote to what we're speaking to right now.
Yeah, so I'm a big. I've just personally been just. My parents will tell you from the time I was little, just like either singing or dancing or making up a play or writing a play or just doing that. I wanted to be an actress and I studied acting all through high school. I was going to go to college for like all kinds of stuff. So just the creative juice, the juices. And I actually just we had our call the other night of my coaching group, and we talked about creativity and why it's important, and also, but and at the same time to get out of the stereotypes of what you think creativity is. A lot of people
Yeah,
just think it's just like the fine arts,
yeah,
painting, drawing, or sculpting, but it's like no, like you can be creative in how you approach your food or your movement or how you dress yourself or anything, and it's just like getting yourself like out of your normal rhythm, because I believe everybody is creative in some way. And when you have something that you can focus on purely for the beauty, purely for the joy, purely for the enjoyment, it just can really make a huge difference. So for me, that's writing.
Yep.
For somebody else, my sister's a photographer, like she could be photography, it could be, standing up and sing. One of my clients is a phenomenal singer, and I was like blown away. She shared a song with me, and I was like listening to it, crying. I was like, oh my gosh, like this is amazing. Like, and everybody has like a little talent. You just have to give yourself space to figure out what that is and how
Yeah.
to foster and curate it.
That's exactly it, is give yourself enough space. And I mean, I remember way back in the day, like way before I was homeschooling, the idea of doing something outside of mothering seemed unnecessary to me. That's all I wanted to do, is be a mom. I wrote that in my high school yearbook, and I was going to have 10 children. Anyway, four was
That's still good. That's still good.
I'll have more later. The ultimate hilarious joke now. Um, no, I won't. I'm not what I've experienced in that realm, but I discovered, to my true surprise, is that I want something beyond motherhood. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I am something beyond motherhood. I am someone. And I wasn't acting at your age, but all the things you just said, that was me too.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that there's just something about just giving yourself that like quiet permission. And it doesn't have to be for anybody else, like at all. It can
Yeah.
just be for yourself. Like, we also don't have to go out and put a show on for somebody, or you could sing in the shower. Like for me, like, I mean, I don't, because I have a horrible voice, but I'm saying like you could sing in the shower if that's fun for you. Or, I worked with a client, we were talking about her creativity, and she's an amazing artist. She draws, but she was looking for something else. And I was like, hello, like I'm watching all this amazing, every month she and her daughter would pick a different country to study, and the food she was preparing from that country. I'm like, that is creativity. Like,
Mhm.
could I do that? Sure. But I don't want, like, I wouldn't get any joy out of it. I think that's like that underlying thing. And I talk about joy a lot. It's like, is that something that's bringing you joy? Because if it just feels like you have to do it, then, I don't know. It's not there, especially if you're just getting started and trying to tap into that
Yeah.
creativity. Grab your phone and take a picture of the same spot every morning, and just like see what comes. I mean, I don't know, like there's just so many
Yeah.
little things, but don't put that on your bottom of your list. Like, start your day with that, or make that a priority, and then watch how everything else can kind of fall into place. Because if you wait till it's 9 p.m. and you're like, oh, I didn't write, or I didn't,
Yeah.
draw, like it's not ever going to get done if you keep waiting.
Yeah. That's why the morning routine is so important. And I mean, I say that carefully because I know some people are like, I cannot do that. I have children sleeping in my bed. I'm rolling out of bed with the child waking me up, which was my experience actually. I was so
Same.
tired. They'd bring me a coffee and be like, hey, mom, do you think we should homeschool?
Yeah.
And, but now I'm like, my husband sent me a meme last week that said, all I need for morning routine is 7 to 8 hours of quiet.
Yes, yes. That sounds amazing. That's amazing.
Yes.
I always joke, because as extroverted as I am, I love to be by myself. I
Yeah,
love to
me
be
too.
with my own company,
Yeah.
and I love for nobody to talk to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no, I feel ya. Yeah, I won't ask your personality type right now, but
Oh, I'm an ENFJ.
I am too.
Okay.
I
I
am.
took that in college, and I've taken it like three. ENFJ, Enneagram 2. What else? I say
Oh,
I'm
you are
a
exactly the same. Forgot.
recovering obliger. I did the Gretchen Rubin four tendencies as a obliger.
Yeah.
I said I'm a recovering obliger.
Yeah. So we are the same people. I'm just in
So,
Canada and you're in the US. Yep. Me too. So many troubles with self-care actually when you're a two, for
well,
sure.
and that's why yeah, because I was actually talking to him about that yesterday. She asked me like, how did I get into it? I'm like, well, because I had to. I was like
Yeah.
I was like, I've had physical, like, documented burnout twice. And that second time was like, I'm not doing this again. Like, I really had to will myself to like get better and not go down a path that I had been down when my kids were all babies. And I was like, I
Yeah.
cannot do that again. I can't.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I really find that creativity is an element of it. Like there's so many discussion points we could go down when we talk about self-care or wellness. But that's why I have my podcast. That's
Yeah,
literally
exactly.
why I
Yeah.
do. And it's also my source of creativity. But I find that creativity is just kind of like, it's a hyper fuel. Like it's a different kind of fuel than just having a shower regularly. Like
Mm.
or your little kids, when your kids were little, it was hard to just shower and to brush your teeth and do the basics. And so that would have been the most important thing, of course, at that time, because it just made you feel human. But now, even like 15 years ago, I was trying to include pockets of creativity. And that kind of fuel was a whole different kind of fuel.
Yeah, and I think for me, if I look back on it, so for me, I could see I was using my creativity in creating homeschool, like our lap books or our, like, I would put together unit studies. And that's kind of how I said, you know what, Vanessa, like you were really actually using your creativity in your early days, especially when my kids, I was teaching them all together. My kids are only 22 months apart, my oldest, and then I have twins. So, it was beneficial for me to teach them all together as much as possible. And I was using a ton of creativity, whether it was decorating our house or with like all the stuff that they could learn. I always joke, like I hung in our bathroom downstairs, like I had like, math equations and the planets. So even if they were sitting on the potty, they could be learning, right? Because like
Yep.
I went a little too far, but like that was where I kind of like gave myself like forgiveness almost, because I just felt like, oh my gosh, you haven't done any like writing or whatever, like anything important. But I was like, no, actually, you poured in all this energy and time to create unit studies for your kids and projects and cakes and field trips like that is all creativity. and
It
and
is
I just
all
want to assure people, like if you're watching this and you're still homeschooling younger kids and littles, like you are using that is creativity. And if you want to make space for something that's just for yourself, like I'm saying, go do it. It can literally be done in 5 minutes a day. Find 5 minutes.
Yeah, that's a good point about the using creativity that way. Um, the only thing I saw in my family is that when I was using my creativity that way and trying to say include everything in the Susan Wise Bauer tome, um, and I was trying to create my own little private school at home. That's a solid way to burn your child out.
Yeah, especially and your kids aren't always going to appreciate all of that
Your
stuff. And like
creativity.
let's be okay with that. Like how
Yeah.
many times did I cry in the corner because my oldest was like, "This is dumb, mom," and I'm not doing it.
And you
So,
spent so much time on Pinterest getting all these
yeah.
ideas.
Yeah. Like I
Yeah.
I I think I've told the story before. Like I had set up like a poetry like we had our tea, I had the candles, and this was like in a really rough season of life for us. We were like living in a rental, we had no friends, we had moved, it was terrible, and I was like, two of my kids were sick, and I like it was bad. But I'm like, I'm gonna have this, and I like set the whole thing up, and it's all beautiful, and I'm reading a poem, and I look up, and my oldest son, he's all he's wearing is like it's like 4 degrees outside. He just has his pair of shorts on, and he's lighting a candle on, I'm lighting a vitamin on fire, and I was like, what is happening here? Like I'm trying to have this like beautiful, like reading a Robert Frost book, and I've got, I made special gluten-free treat, and then he's trying to light, a vitamin on fire. And like I laugh about it now, but I just remember feeling so defeated in that moment. Like I can't do this. Like, and I spent all this time, and it makes me laugh now because mostly because he's also was training to be a firefighter. So that makes me laugh.
That doesn't mean he has permission to burn the house down.
Exactly.
Just,
So
initial
yeah,
forays
yeah,
and what it would be like.
exactly. So you're going to have those times where it's okay to do, like, if I could go back and tell myself, like, it's okay for you just to do homeschooling stuff or just do stuff for yourself. And if your kids don't like it, that's fine. It's okay. It doesn't mean you're a bad homeschool mom. It just means you have kids.
Yeah, exactly. Amen. That is like that's quotable right there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. So what I'm curious, like the things that you predominantly speak to when you're coaching, what would you say the general focus is?
So under the umbrella of self-care, because I tend to work with mostly with moms in midlife, from not just homeschooling moms. I work with mom all across the board, usually in their late 30s to 50s. And the kind of the biggest things I come to was the from the self-care. It's like, I don't know how to take care of myself. I want to have a self-care routine. I know I need to have it. I don't know where to start. Or they think they have to go like 100% full throttle, have everything figured out. And if they deviate from, like, if they miss a day of something, then that means they're a failure. So it's a lot of mindset work around, well, hey, let's just start by building a habit. Like, let's just see, where are you right now?
Yeah.
Again, we talk about like, what season of life are you in right now? One of my clients, she's in her early 40s, but she has a 5-year-old. So that looks very different for me when, in when I was in my early 40s and I had, young teens or whatever. And so it's just like, where are you now? And just meet them where they are and then build through that. And I also have a lot of clients who are saying, okay, I know I have all these ideas of things that I want to do, but they need someone to brainstorm with. They need someone to reflect back and to start. And I absolutely, that has been like my biggest joy lately. One of my clients who's been with me from the beginning, and she's just had this like massive shift. And I was like listening to her message and just like taking a walk and crying because like 2 years ago, it was just so different and all the work she's put in now. And I was like, yeah, I'm like, she's like, has 4 kids, she's homeschooling and she's doing this stuff. And I'm like in my neighborhood, like walking, like, Rocky and whatever. And that's the thing. It's these little ripple effects that when you take your time to do something for yourself, it ripples out. It creates that little energy. So yeah,
Oh, it is so exciting.
it's
I
so
think they call
good.
it the helper's high, and
Yes.
we Enneagram 2 are like completely addicted to it.
Yes, because you just, especially when you've been with like working with somebody for, again, like for this has
Yeah,
been like 2.5 years, and I'm just like, and even if you can see something for somebody, they have to see it for themselves, and
exactly.
that's what
Yeah.
I love is like that aha
Mhm.
moment. And I just want to encourage like you just like mothers, like you deserve to have that for yourself, whether you're working by yourself, you're working with a coach, you're working with a therapist, whatever, like you
Mhm.
deserve to have that feeling for yourself. It shouldn't just all be for your kids, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, absolutely. In fact, I would go further. Now, this is coming from somebody that really I was very traditional in the way I approached family. Like my kids are like, what do you mean you don't think you should submit to dad? You actually said that in your vows that you were going to submit to dad. I had all sorts of ideas in the earlier days, and they're like, wow, you've really shifted in how you think about things. And that one, what you just said, is absolutely my experience too. So yeah, I'm with you there. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I also think some of that comes with getting a little bit older, right? And there's like wisdom there. And so I'm like really embraced that. Embracing that energy. And that we can do, you can't also do everything at one time. I will say
Right.
like,
Seasons.
um, there are seasons for things. And also, a lot of the times people just, see that this they just see the outside of it, right? They don't see the like years, the blood, sweat and tears that have gone
Yeah.
into producing things. And I just want to tell
Yeah.
people like, and also you can like share your celebrations with people, like share, like get out there, get on your stories, get into your newsletter, or tell your friends and family like, oh my gosh, I did this, I'm flipping excited. Like we have to celebrate ourselves. And it's so funny because every time I push a client to like tell me their celebrations, they're like, oh yeah, I guess I didn't think about that. I'm like, nope. Like I'm going to sit here on the Voxer, or I'm going to sit here on this call until you tell me something. And so like, I would say I get, what's my word? Like aggressively pushy and in like the kindest possible way. But like,
Yeah.
you have to share those things because that energy puts energy out for yourself and also inspires other people. And
Exactly.
so I think that's super important.
Yeah, that's really good. Isn't this coaching thing amazing? Like
It's
really,
the best.
it is the best. It's even making me a far better parent, which is interesting. Podcasting
Mm.
teach. Go figure. Homeschooling for as long as I did. But podcasting is teaching me how to teach, and coaching is teaching me how to parent, which is a little backwards because I didn't officially coaching until 2019.
Yeah,
But
it's okay. But that's what I'm saying. It's learning and growing, and I think there's such a need. Like I know for me, like we get mentors for our kids, we get
Mhm.
teachers for our kids. Like you guess what? You get to have that for yourself too. I think
Yeah.
that's actually more important because
Mhm.
you can make a lot of healing. You can make a lot of
Yeah.
growth for yourself, and yeah, so that's just why I've personally had a coach since 2009. Health, like I've done coaching myself, like I've been coached. I still get coached. I have a coach and all that stuff. Like I'm just a big, huge believer in support and not doing things by yourself and having somebody to kind of riff with and brainstorm with who's just completely, is it's not the same thing as talking to a really good friend.
Yeah.
I also think, and I want to go back and say, as a homeschool mom, it's really, really important to have community
Yeah.
as homeschool moms, but also moms that have nothing. My best friend, we have very, very different lives, but like we talk every single day, and we are there for each other no matter what. And that like I've cried to her about homeschooling. She's cried to me about like her kids schooling, and it doesn't matter because we're still, at the end of the day, we're still moms, and our kids are the exact same age. So I think that's really, really important to have that group of that support, just to not do things by yourself.
Yeah, I think like two things that you're saying. One is that I think the coach or a therapist doesn't have skin in the game, and so they're very objective for you. So that's a really useful tool. Also, homeschool mom socialization could be concern. The child socialization, we're not concerned about them, but sometimes homeschool moms don't find community and need it.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Yeah.
just wanted to add that if you could unschool therapy, I see myself as possibly having put in enough hours. So
Yeah.
anyway, that's side.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that's just so important. Somebody asked me, like, when we talk about the difference, just to jump in, like with therapy, and I was talking about coaching, is like, where are you now and where do you want to be? Like,
Yeah,
how am I moving forward? So I always start with that with my clients. I'm like, tell me what you want to, depending on how long we're working. If we're working for a month, okay, well, what do you want to feel a month? If it's 3 months, how do you want to feel at the end of 3 months? And just
yeah,
like start with an intention, so you're not just kind of like flopping all over the place, and you have something to work towards and move forward. Just like you bring
yeah,
your kids along, like when you teach them to read, they don't go from reading, Bob the Builder books to like reading, Jane Austen or something, right? There's like little steps that have to happen in between. So, yeah.
yeah, very much so. I really think we should do this frequently.
We'll just,
More often. This feels like I'm like hanging out at the water cooler. So I actually can't drink coffee right now or I won't go to bed.
I
But
know.
we'll
I
have
just
a
had hot
water.
chocolate again.
Nice. Very nice.
Number
Uh,
two of the day.
yeah, I'm like always putting cocoa on the grocery list. And I only have one kiddo at home now. And I'm like, what are you making?
Yes, I love
Yeah.
it. I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah. Love hot chocolate too. So, you said you were going to be opening up a coaching Voxer program in, is
Yeah.
that right? Yeah.
Yes.
Tell me
Yeah.
about it.
I've been playing. So I've had a couple of clients in the last, since early November. And I'm going to officialize it in January. And it's Voxer, coaching with the Voxer app. If anybody doesn't know what that is, it's like a walkie talkie app. It's
I don't know
asynchronous.
what it is. Okay, so tell me.
Wait, you don't have, oh my goodness.
I
So
only got a
Voxer,
cell phone 6 months ago.
okay, okay. So it's just like an app, and you can leave a message. I mean, you can put videos and stuff. It's not really meant for that. It's more talking. So it can be very asynchronous. So I can leave a message. Like, for example, my client, like, she texted me a message this morning. This is what I want to work on today, or following up with something. And so then I will leave her a voice message back, or I can
Yeah,
text her a message back, or I snap her a picture of something. So instead of meeting, which I typically meet with people on a Google Meet live, either once a month or twice, depending on what coaching packages. And the Voxer's kind of like, I've heard somebody call it like a coach in your pocket, right?
yeah,
So because you
interesting.
can just be
Yeah,
out like jumping in and saying, hey, I need this support. So it's actually been really fun. And I also am looking for ways to make things accessible, like financially accessible and affordable for people, to even try. So it's a great thing if you are brand new to coaching and you've never coached before and you want to try it for, like, I have like a week, 2 weeks, or a month. And you can say, okay, this really worked. Let me keep doing this. Or, hey, I'm ready to step into like either a group program or a more intensive 3 month, like my 3 month package is definitely more intensive if you want to go like really deep. But I
yeah,
really, really love the Voxer coaching because I love talking. And it's also great because I'm finding like people just love to be able to pick up the phone or the Voxer at the beginning of the week and say, hey, this week I really need to work on blah, blah, blah. And then we can just focus in on that for the week. And it's Monday through Friday. And it's been a lot of fun. Like, I'm having a lot of fun playing with it. And everybody so far is enjoying it.
that's awesome. I actually have an alternative. Like the way I approach it is through Patreon. And so
Mm-hmm.
I've got various different ways of connecting and I haven't tapped into them all yet. But the audio, getting a private, essentially like a private casual podcast episode, and then various other ways just to chat with people and behind this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
And just
love it.
so much less expensive, but still like true support to walk alongside someone.
Yes, I think that's the amazing thing about the technology that, you know, that we have. And also, like, let me just shout out to all the mamas who we're all learning this right now. Like, we didn't grow up with all this technology.
No.
Okay, like I still miss my speak and spell. So like there's like a lot of brand new things that we're also learning and growing because we have approached like either homeschooling with our kids, and we've had to learn, like I would say, like homeschool moms, like you have to learn how to do almost everything.
Yeah.
And you can do that for yourself also when you're starting a business, or you know, whatever it is you're doing. Like, give yourself a lot of credit. Like, that's what I just want to say. Like, I like celebrate that. Give yourself credit. Like, you can do a lot of amazing things.
Oh, so beautiful, Vanessa. So many possible discussion points. We have to keep this conversation going somehow, some way. I know we both are super busy.
Yeah,
Um,
in the new year we can definitely chat again, because I
yeah,
can't believe it's December. What is it? December 13th.
I know exactly. I'm like, I really, really have to do Christmas shopping.
I don't even want to talk about that. It's too depressing.
The Christmas tree is officially up in my house.
Yes, yeah. No, I had stuff up before like before Thanksgiving. I was, that was one thing. I was like, I have to have my tree up before Thanksgiving, and I did, but like that was it. So,
Yeah. Well, mine literally just came in the house 2 days ago. And I
amazing.
mean, but like we live on a mountainside, so we got
Yes.
Christmas trees just waiting outside at any time
That's
of year.
amazing.
Yeah, that is. It's beautiful. But they're
Amazing.
also very messy, and the vacuum cleaner broke down, but that's a different discussion.
Yes. I got you. I love the smell.
Yeah,
I've got pine scented candles. I have some live pine right here, and I go
nice.
over and just like stick my face in it, and it
Yeah,
makes me
yeah,
happy.
yeah. Beautiful. Little Charlie Brown Christmas CD, some hot chocolate.
Yes.
Perfect. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I love
Amazing.
keep in connection with you. And to everybody that's out there, I just want to encourage you to foster your creativity. I know these next few weeks for many of us are a little chaotic or really busy, anyways, in an unusual way, but just continue to think about you too.
Yeah.
That's why we're here to help you nurture the nurturer. Are there any last words that you would like to share?
Yeah, just to go off that, I always tell people, like, start today. Don't wait for January. There's nothing important about January 1st. I'm dead serious. Like, start today. If you start today and said 5 minutes today, I'm going to, like, for me, this week, I said I'm going to write 5 minutes every day. I'm going to write poems or haiku or something. I'm doing that every day this week. Or write down something I create, like a joy journal, like write down 3 things that brought you joy today. Or you're going to go sketch a picture or sing a fun song. Just literally 5 minutes, and don't wait. Just, oh, just wait till January. I'll just wait till no. Start it
Yeah.
today. Start
Mhm.
it today, because then by in the next 2.5 weeks, like you will have made like progress. So just start today with
Beautiful.
whatever it is.
Yeah. Actually, this is apparently the busiest week of the year. So if anybody's actually watching this, which I know they are, but I don't have my old lady glasses on, so I can't know for sure who, how many, but because that's how many years I am. But I did actually a few weeks ago open the 12-day self-care challenge for homeschool moms. And I said, yes, I'm going to do it now because I want to be in your inbox for those 5 minutes a day saying, listen, you need to be looking after you right now. It is not all about everybody else.
Exactly. Because I was saying, you do not want to be as flat as a pancake by December 31st, because then you spend the whole month of January trying to recuperate, and that's just not, it's not good. It is not good.
It's
Don't
not
do it.
sustainable. Yes, yes. Don't do it. That's what I want to tell you. Just don't do it.
Just don't do it.
Yeah. So delightful to chat with you again. I would love it if you have any like words of wisdom from the Golden Girls that could leave us and exit us from this conversation.
Well, funny enough, I have another my Golden Girls mug here, and I've got my Golden Girls calendar here over sitting right
Of
in front of
course
me
you do.
here. I don't
That's
have
what I do.
if it would probably be inappropriate words, but
Bring it. I'm old enough.
yeah, no, I always try to, I always joke, I just channel my inner Sophia, right? Just to like, as I get older, right? Just be you. Like I love how she's just herself, and she's just like, not just because I'm an actual 100% Italian little old like short lady, but like really just embrace like who you are, embrace where you are right now. And and obviously the friendship, right? That community, that friendship, whether you have it online or in person, I just like,
Yeah.
you know, I'm a huge fan of the girls.
Yes. And if you don't know about them, that means you're not our age.
That's right.
Oh, such a pleasure to
It's
chat.
good to talk to you.
Yeah. I hope it's a lovely holiday. And to everybody, connect with us. We're here. Maybe temporarily. I'm gone for a little bit, probably you too. But
Yeah, I'm
we're
gonna
we're
take some
still
time
we're
off here, but yeah,
yeah,
definitely here or on like wherever. But
yeah.
yeah, it's amazing. Happy holidays is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna go outside and get a little walk in before it's dark. And
Yes.
I hope you have a good night.
Yeah, you too. All the best. We'll see you soon, Vanessa. Bye.
Bye. Take care.